Hey everybody, it's Brett from Moonstream Crypto, and in this video we're going to talk about FOMC, this pre-selling we're seeing going into the FOMC meeting and comments. By the time you're watching this, probably they will have already announced the quarter basis point rate cut that everyone's expecting and is basically 99% priced in. Also going to show you what I think is next for Bitcoin and crypto, and it's not looking pretty. I have some ideal entry targets down below, so stay with me. Let's dive into the charts and unpack this together. So in this chart, what do we see? I'll just turn off all the signals. We can clearly see Bitcoin putting in a lower high in a thick sell block. This is one of our order block detectors that we can visualize the concentration of sellers. This went away before we had this big dump last Friday. Now this is back, visualizing the sellers. This is a thick sell block of people willing to sell, institutions, whoever, but we're visualizing on the limit buy orders, the sell orders on the ask. So invariably, these will reject price. This is where the sellers are. So long story short, I am looking for price to head down to this the $105,000 level. I'm still hoping 200K on the upside, but it's not looking very likely before the end of the year, despite all the Tom Lees of the world saying we'll go to 250 by the end of the year. Time-wise, I just don't think that's possible, and I'll show you why. But I do think it's likely we come down to this 105K level. We are seeing the 21 and 50-day exponential moving averages rolling over, and the price is now down below that, as well as threatening to go below the bull market support band. So likely we push down in here, ideally down in this 100K level. I have buy limit orders in at 99K, 100K, 102. We're all through this range, and that's what I'm seeing. I think we're seeing a new downward trend down in this area into early November. And then I think we'll push up higher out of there. We did look at this in a live class I just taught. Potential head and shoulders pattern here. We have a left shoulder ahead and the right shoulder here. Depending on where you draw the neckline, I'm drawing it here with a measured move from the top. Breaking the neckline here puts us right down into that range where the buyers are. So I think that that is certainly on the table, and we can unpack that a little further if we'd like. Seeing a little bit overbought on my other momentum signals, certainly not seeing green signs. Our early reversal indicator also flagging a bearish ERI, which is a little hard to see with all the other indicators. This visualizes what I believe as programmatic buying and selling. It is one of our proprietary indicators that was an accidental discovery. Don't let the arrows fool you. This is signaling a price move in a short time period with enough volume and velocity to do that. And we've layered in a Keltner channel and some other quant tools in the actual oscillator. So the arrows are just the easy representation of that, showing that bearish divergence there. We see this has been very effective in the past, as well as on the weekly chart, which called the exact top back in November of 2021. So we do rely on these and the confluence on these other signals. Not here to talk about that today. I'll go ahead and hide that for now. So that's my read for Bitcoin, and we can see this long time trend line also in danger, this longer term trend line going all the way back. If we look back in here, this from the lows here, and even back here, but to October 23. And the other thing I'll point out, though, which is actually bullish, I want to see us pull back to the 100K level, and that would be an excellent entry point, because we can see that when the the weekly chart on Bitcoin pushes up above and retests the 50-week, that green line, the 50-week EMA, it often bounces strongly off of that, especially when we see those EMAs tightening, which you can really visualize on the EMA ribbon. And seeing it come down here again right in there. Let me turn off the EMA ribbons. You can see that. So a pullback and bounce off of the 50-week EMA would be a very strong time to buy back in this market, especially if there is a buy block, which we saw back in here. We had it touch on the 50-week there, and so we really, if we come down into this range, there are buyers here on the daily chart. So we have buyers in this range. If we come down and hold that $101,000 level on a closing basis, I think that's where we're headed, and we could see an amazing bounce from those levels. So we'll have to wait and see, but in terms of where we go next, let's unpack that together. So in terms of the total market cap, a couple things I want to show you. We'll come back to that, but actually total market cap is important. We are hovering on this 21-week EMA. And also the trend line, are lots of sellers here in this red sell block. So I'm not going to be fully bullish unless we regain that $4 trillion level into price discovery. My bull flag targets were 4.8 to 5 trillion. I think if we get there, that's probably the top. These big round numbers on total market cap are significant. The $3 trillion mark, in case you hadn't already heard or figured out, nobody else is talking about it, I think, but me. But that was the cycle high last time, $3 trillion right here to the nose. It wasn't about the price of Bitcoin. It was programmatic institutional selling at $3 trillion right there. That was the market top in November of 2021, where we also called that as a market top. I did that publicly. That's all public record. Similarly, at $4 trillion, that's when Bitcoin hit that 126K level, which rejected. So these big round numbers on the total market cap, pay attention. These are the areas that we see big reversals. So if we can push up out of here into price discovery, I think this 5 trillion is going to be a very significant level. Some people are saying 6 trillion, but I think it's probably going to run out of steam right in that range before that, just based on past experience. So, and again, seeing all that sell pressure on the total market cap, if we look at total 2, also showing there, which means it's not just Bitcoin putting any lower high right under this prior support we were holding at total 2 right around 1.5 trillion, now acting as a resistance. Lower highs likely going to roll over, come down on these lower ranges, maybe as far as 1.7 trillion. We'll be looking for that region as a possible place to reaccumulate. So I'll put an alert on that. Price going down, so we've done that here. Total 3 is similar. I have this as a big unknown. If we bounce down to the trend line support here around a 1 trillion, just under $1 trillion rather, to bounce off of. And then, though, we're going to be stuck in this spin cycle of all of this sell pressure. This is the altcoin markets. This is why I think altcoin season is really in jeopardy, if not potentially dead for this cycle. We'll have to see total ES, which is everything excluding stable coins. Same thing, lots of sell pressure up above. Same with DeFi, and markets are not looking very strong here. So I am all in cash right now. We have been selling out in our groups, recommending that last week. Not here to shill that. We do have some live services and live weekly classes that we do, and private mentoring. If you'd like to learn more about that, go to moonstreamcoaching.com/start. And I've got 20 or 30 people that I'm working with one-on-one. At any rate, buy zone. Where are the buyers? Just like when they arrested Bonnie and Clyde, they said, "Why did you rob all the banks?" They said, "That's where the money is." This is where the money is, you guys. If we can calm down this range, 105K, big buy block there. Below that $100,000 level, key support level. I think we could dip down below it to around 98K. Before recovering and resuming higher. So we'll see. I do like to buy down below and catch things lower. Just like in real estate, you make your money when you buy under market. Same thing in crypto. I won't flip my stance and invalidate what I'm saying here unless we get above this 118,000 level and this sell block goes away. Then I would flip bullish. That would invalidate everything below. But I don't think so. I think we're headed lower, and that's why we're in cash waiting for these buy opportunities and have limit buy orders all through here. I do think Bitcoin leads. Ethereum is not looking so great. Solana ETF was approved, not really showing much excitement there, although Solana dominance is up slightly. So just looking at a slightly different chart, we can see the same thing. So let me just jump down into the actual coins. And actually, before we do that, I want to do a little bit more on the macro side. So this is that chart, the path to 150K to 200,000 Bitcoin we've been following. And I wrote, I've been doing 2 years, or 2 years. The last thing that's starting to happen, actually, is this BRICS. This BRICS conversation still has a question mark. We're seeing more murmurings out of like Russia, China about that happening. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. With all the regulation, the pro-Bitcoin regulation coming into play, that's going to be the bigger catalyst. So here's the problem. This is a Fibonacci study from the high-low, the same one that called the last cycle high, right? So if we went to the 2017 high to the low over here, moved that over, that was the high here. And so if we were to look at that same study, doesn't mean it has to play out again, but that's why I arrived at this from the 2021 high to the low extended out. The 1.618 was 100K. We hit that, rejected a while, broke above, flipped it as support. 150K is the next level. Will we get there? Probably, maybe a bit of a throwover by the end of this year as I've drawn it, with the open possibility. I'm starting to be more open to the fact that quarter one could see the bull market top and that extended cycle. Raul Paul's calling for 5-year cycle. I don't think so. I don't know. Nobody knows. But at any rate, this is where we could see 200K into sort of first quarter based on this Fibonacci study. But it's a big but. We have to get moving. This trajectory, this kind of growth has to happen pretty fast. This is a bars pattern from the last cycle. And also, let me get back in here. I had another study drawn that we don't really need to get into on this, actually. So basically, point being, if we lose, we are right here. If we can't hold this trend line, and if we start losing this trend line, then we have to ask ourselves, is the top in? This is this longer term trend line going all the way back here to September 23, which I showed on the last chart. And so typically in parabolic blow off tops, we see increasing angles. So we could still get there and have this blow off top angle getting to 200K, at which point I would be selling everything. With the caveat, if we had a nice healthy pullback into that range off of this support, I think there's room to go to 250K, 245K based on another study I did. I'm not going to get into that here. You can always find these at TradingView. Brett Fogel, TradingView, just Google that for some of these studies that I have updated from time to time. All right, so a quick look here at the USDT dominance. This runs inversely to Bitcoin, and crypto was a bit concerned seeing it bounce off of this trend line like it did over here, potentially pushing into crypto correction zone. When these go up, that means money is flowing out of Bitcoin and crypto, and when they go down, it's when we're hitting the bull markets because money's flowing out of stablecoins into total market cap and Bitcoin at any rate. So we did reject here. We're looked to be heading lower. If we see Tether dominance and other stable coins breaking up into this sort of 5.7% range, then we're firmly into crypto correction zone and possibly crypto crash zone later on when that ultimately breaks. So I think maybe, hopefully we're seeing more like this pattern where we could push up. We could see a correction, obviously, and then come back down for another peak around that first quarter mark. That would be that 200K Bitcoin potentially, and then enter into that bear market after that sometime in 26. So that's my base case. I'm going to stick to it until it's invalidated, but so far it has been playing out pretty closely. All right, total market cap, and global M2 rather, had an interesting study. We just got back from a crypto mastermind that I hosted down in Tulum, Mexico, and one of our guest speakers, Juan Villaverde, was talking about global M2, how it isn't tracking very closely. Neither is gold. He has a newer version, one that I had rebuilt and done a while back, mostly on the Japanese money supply tends to lead. Incidentally, Japan's starting to do quantitative easing and stimulus. So point is, this is matching fairly closely now with global M2. The offset has changed throughout here, so it has sometimes it's 10 weeks, 12 weeks, so between 78 and 84 days. Currently, I'm using a 95-day offset just to sort of time this peak with price, this dip, and this little pop. At some point very, very soon, we should see in early November, following global M2, if this is to play out and possibly getting us up in that 135K range, although this is not set to scale for global M2. They're not aligned here, or else it makes one of them go away. But here I'm looking at the peak, the pullback, the bounce, maybe another pullback, and then we go. So my thesis is early November, it's going to be upvember. October is now downtober. It's not happening, you guys. And so FOMC is not announced yet. We have FOMC 92% priced in for this rate cut here for this month. It's gone down a little, actually. It was up to around 99% earlier in the day, but December is still showing 84%. So I don't know if Powell is talking right now. He may have just started. It doesn't really matter. On this 1 hour, 4 hour chart, the big sell block here earlier today, my dynamic average true range triggered. So I do believe we go lower to that 106 range based on this chart, the 1 hour and the 4 hour. Bollinger Band's tightening, indicating a move coming probably to the downside, as I said, toward all these buyers to pick up some liquidity. Here's another chart layout that kind of shows a similar thing. Chart on the left is price, and then we have our signals, which we rely on, and not seeing green or red. So this could go either way. Tightening on the Bollinger Bands as well. I do think we come down that 106 level and then maybe break out. So all signs are kind of pointing to that as we just looked at. So let's jump back out. I want to make this a quick video. And Ethereum also seeing sell blocks in here. Sellers, lower highs, potentially higher lows. So we have a symmetrical wedge here. Could we break out? Probably, but I am not looking to buy here inside of a sell block. And Ethereum, who knows? If it breaks this levels, it could come all the way down here. It's hard to say. I'm not going to speculate how low it goes. I'm not touching Ethereum until this sell block goes away. If we were to look at a weekly chart just based on these signals, our trend momentum indicator heading lower on a weekly time frame, that's like the cruise ship has more inertia than the sailboat, right? So this doesn't turn around easily. I think this signals more downside on ETH over the weeks to come. And similarly with Solana. Let me open this up. We have a weekly time frame. Both of these are red on Sol, and that is a bit concerning. I like Sol very much. Let me zoom in on this so you can see this. We are looking for strategic entries. I'll clean up that chart for a minute. But again, big block of sellers. We have lower highs coming in. So Sol is a bit tricky. I'd be looking to buy Solana on pullbacks to around 180, all the way down to 172, even 160. I was able to double my Solana last year, trading in these buy block zones around the 125 region, buying there repeatedly and selling out. Actually, this is where it was in the 125 region. So buying in here, selling, buying, selling, buying, selling. Started at 40 Sol up to 100 now, and 90 or something like that. I've added some cash, but it doubled the Solana, just swing trading that. So Solana is a great swing trading coin. So in this area, we're still in an uptrending parallel channel. I would be looking for, and I have alerts here at 180. That would be my ideal entry. Also working with our signals. By the way, you can find out more about our proprietary simple to use institutional grade signals at cryptomastery.org. They're the best I've used. We've made a couple of accidental discoveries. These have allowed us to call every major market turn, and including the 2021 top in November, as well as getting back in the market in January of 2023. Was clear as day on the monthly time frame with our ERI. Unfortunately, I'm on the wrong chart here, but I do want to show you that if all you did was trade this ERI on a monthly time frame, and not very frequent trading, obviously, but it's only fired 4 times in the history of Bitcoin. Some of this is back testing. Also gives money flow blocks that tend to support and respect. So I don't think we would go below 80K. I don't think we'll go below 53K ever again. But on this monthly time frame for the buyers, it happened here in January of 23, the green arrow, that with a bullish engulfing candle. Also, I'm going to go to the longer time frames so that's clear. Just to show you, this signal is so good. It triggered here on the bottom of this market, March of 2019. Also in May of 15 at the market low on a closing basis right in there. It did trigger once before, but that was just so early in Bitcoin, it didn't really matter. But how would you guys have liked to have been getting in here around 18,000? We had a clear signal and we were buying. Anyway, hindsight's 2020, so let's move on and talk about some of the other coins. Bitcoin dominance, we were looking at that today. Seems to be running into some trouble here. It was on an upswing. It looks like it may roll over a bit. Solana dominance was ticking higher, but really nothing is moving. USDT dominance, which we were just looking at, also on the uptick. So that would be another sign of potential correction if it breaks above that area, which I showed you a minute ago. And I'll turn off the ERI here so it's not in the way. But some mixed signals. We'll see what Powell has to say. Of course, everyone's waiting for his comments and how the markets will react to these comments. But look at Ethereum on a weekly time frame, bearish engulfing candle. Certainly that could reverse. based on his comments and how the markets react. But right now, holding the 21-week EMA, not looking terribly good. Solana we just looked at, not as bad. I think Solana's a stronger horse if we were to look at that. The rest of the altcoins just looking terrible. Polkadot and all of these. There was one standout from today. Zcash has been on a tear. Although hitting sell pressure, I do expect this to pull back and would be looking to buy Zcash in this $200 range. That would be a great pullback for us. If it can break up above into price discovery zone, then that would be an excellent place to pick some up around 200 in this range, and then of course breaking higher. So I think that's it's moved up on the radar for us. Everything else really looking not so good. Altcoins look terrible. Nothing else worth looking at. There's a couple of micro caps that we're watching that I'm not going to get into here, but Zcash looks interesting. A pullback and retest and go I think is likely, but not financial advice, just giving you the rundown. We'll see mostly red in the markets, not a lot of movement. So Pirate Chain is always fun, generally runs in every market, but already has pushed up quietly into this range. Seeing a bit of a breakout here on Pirate Chain, one to watch, 70 cents. And not financial advice, but I do own some of this on MEXC. It's one of those that could 10x. You never know. People like pirates, but I would not hold that into the next bear market. So lastly, I'll touch on Hyperliquid, trying to kind of break back above in this, but everything's being affected by today's price action. Sea of red, nothing really looks good. So I would stay out. Again, I'm fully in cash. Our altcoins hit stop losses last week, and I would rather buy back higher in fresh conviction than to ride something down and be unsure and have all that fear. So again, this is the Head and Shoulders measured move, potential targets around 98K on a Head and Shoulders. If you guys are saying that's not, I'll just say this. Last cycle, I embarrassed an Elliott Wave expert who thought it was mapping out all of the higher highs, but the Head and Shoulders on last cycle was clear as day, and I was right on that. And so that was another way that we called the top of the last bull market rather. I'm not saying that we've topped out, but this is looking pretty weak in terms of, again, that strong, the market structure. This trend line really needs to hold, and if we lose that, sure, we can hold on the 50-week EMA, but this long-term trend line then becomes invalidated potentially. We'll have to see what happens. Just a quick update, everybody. I'm curious to see what Powell says. So far, seems like a bit of a nothing burger, and we need a catalyst in the markets. I don't think we'll see much movement until early November. Timing-wise, lastly, we'll pull up a cycle trading indicator that's also kind of pointing toward that. Courtesy of Camel Finance, and so showing the various daily and weekly cycle lows. So if we turn all that off, pretty good at catching daily and weekly cycle lows, matching up here and here. So what we'd be looking for in this blue window is a weekly cycle low anywhere through here. Ideally, we do push down on this range in these buy blocks and then also see a daily, weekly, or weekly mid-cycle low. These tend to correlate well with our early reversal indicator also. So when we see those align, a little bit hard to see here, but I'm finding that our early reversal indicator often coincides with or happens the day after the cycle trading, the cycle lows come in. Now, why could that be? I was on an interview with the Camel Finance, and we postulated, well, what if my ERI shows institutional buying and selling, and it's coming in the day after the cycle lows, that just shows that institutions are also mostly using cycles and some form of cycle trading. So if that's new to you, you can learn more about all of this and my weekly classes I do every Wednesday under my M3 Active Trader class. You can learn more about that at moonstream.io /M3 or just moonstream.io, and you'll see some of the other classes that we offer. That hijacked my link because it went to another class link that we normally use, so disregard that. Okay, so if we go here, then it's going to show the classes that we do. It's moonstream.io /M3. It is a daily updates in Signal Chat, also a live weekly class on Wednesdays. Not sure why that isn't loading up for us. We'll just go to the main website. And here it is. You can do a self-guided tour, by the way, in this video. It'll ask you, are you a beginner, intermediate, and then you can click through that. It'll guide you to the various services. So the M3 Active Trader class right here. There are also some free resources on that page. And by the way, if you like this video and you see value, please do hit that like button. I know everyone asks you to do it. We're just trying to spread the word. I'm being told that this is one of the better channels. We're top 3% according to our members, and I appreciate that. I will take that. I will take that. We are good at what we do. I've been trading for 25 years. You can learn more about this again at moonstream.io/M3. I was interviewed on Crypto Revealed last year, flown out. And on the same episode as Robert Kiyosaki and Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff's not having a good week, you guys. Gold is down, and he can't figure out why. Here's a look at our private chat rooms where I'm giving daily updates in Signal with trade alerts and coin picks. The live class on Wednesday with Q&A, which I've done, just did today. Great feedback, excellent results, and you can learn more about that as well as a members area and some other bonuses. So if you're an active trader, go check that out. Moonstream.io/M3, and you can learn about all of the various things you get. Very affordable for what you get. Traders in the group are extremely happy, and we're growing that very quickly. So here's what that looks like. Here in the Active Trader chat room, just to give you an idea, not here to shill things, I'm here to give you the tools and the experience and some of the insider knowledge that we can glean by seeing them and following them, knowing what to look for. So here's that Active Trader chat group that you could be a part of. Look forward to seeing you there. Go ahead and hit that like button. I appreciate that very much, and the team does as well. And we'll see you in the future, and tell you guys more about what's going on. I'll keep you updated. Now that I'm back from our mastermind down in Mexico, I guess before you leave, I'll show you that because it was a great event. And if you'd like to learn more about our next one, then there's going to be a page soon where you can leave a note on the wait list. So we'll be getting something out. But we had it at this amazing villa down in the heart of Tulum, Mexico. And I had some great guests virtual in. Max Wright was a guest. Myself, I did a lot of the training. Vadim Voss is a DeFi expert with getting 20 to 40% monthly APY. You want to hear about that? Joe was my partner who's created our Crypto Mastery signals that I've shown in the last video. I know you guys all have your own signals, but if you're using MACD, RSI, etc., it's not as good. You're using what everyone else does, and you don't have an edge. Our tools have an edge. Joe's an ex-quant hedge fund trader, programmer, and trader, so he programs and trades. That's unique. He's a great guy, amazing tutorials and signals on those. Juan Villaverde also did an excellent session showing the relationship of money supply, not global M2, but another one that he's come up with and researched. So anyway, we have these replays available, and you can reach out and find out more about this. But once we have the replay page up and the place to give your name and email to find out about the next one, we've got about a dozen people that really want to do and join us on the next one. So we'll put up the photos, everything else. It was a great time. Cheers, everybody. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll keep you updated as we go. Talk to you later.